and I'm too determined, and I've already had a spiritual enlightenment. Like, you know, I almost died, you know. I had a heart attack, you know. So it's like, do I want to be there for my family? For those who don't know me, my name's Kevin Salduti, and my life has been crazy. Needless to say, fresh out of high school, I went to art school, I went to college, and you know, thought I could be a fashion designer. I always had a passion.
Really?
I had a passion for snowboarding. You know, I wanted to.
Snowboarding, you said?
Yeah, for snowboarding. Yeah, I wanted to start my own clothing line like Burton. You know, and move out to Colorado and teach young kids how to snowboard on a professional level, and have them rep my gear.
That's awesome.
You know, it was why clothing, because like why anything in life. So the name of the clothing company was Why Clothing, and then a backwards question mark. And you know, I went pretty far in college, but you know, of course I got caught up in a different scene, and I started dancing. I excelled in that. I became a Chippendale. I signed a contract for $180,000 a year performing with Chippendales, traveling around the world. But unfortunately, I was unable to get a passport because I had a little juvenile criminal record that I neglected, and it finally caught up with me. So I ended up going to prison. I did 3 years through the state system and 3 one-year stints through the county system. So I lost 6 years of my life all through my early 20s. Yeah, it was crazy. So, like sitting in cells, you know, I'm just like, I got all this time to think, like, what am I going to do with myself? You know, I went in for a year, got out, you know, struggled with addiction. Was out for like a month, got locked back up again for a hot urine, went back in for another year, got out, and did the same thing. I did it 3 times, and by the 3rd time, you know, I was like 23 years old. I'm like, what am I doing with myself? I need to get my ish together, you know?
Yeah.
So I was just like, you know what? This is it. I'm gonna ask the judge to reconsolidate my original charges and get me off of county probation, and, you know, send me into the state system, because, you know, this is my last run. I'm done after this. So I got 1.5 to 3, and by the time I, you know, did all my state systems and all my programs and stuff, you know, I maxed my sentence out. I got out at 26, and you know, I had a dream. My dream was to get married, to build a business, you know, to have 2 kids, and you know, just live the American dream. You know, a house with a white picket fence, kind of what they say, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
So I started niching out my goals, you know. I preached into existence. Everything I spoke, I turned into reality, and I just kept telling myself, this is what I'm gonna do. This is what I'm gonna do. And then eventually I'm doing it, and then eventually I did it, and then I moved on to the next goal, and I just like worked my way up the totem pole. And you know, now it's, you know, coming up on 10 years. You know, I'll be 37 in September, so yeah, it's been 10 years almost. You know, I've accomplished a construction company, residential concrete, Salduti and Son, booming. You know, we're, you know, doing close to, you know, $1 million a year in residential sales. And you know,
did you build that from the ground up?
From the ground up, yeah. My dad owned a concrete company as a kid and wanted to give it to me, but during like 2008, the recession, I just decided that I wanted a different path. You know, I wanted to go to college.
Yeah.
And that's the path that I took. So he retired and moved to North Carolina. Me and him always clashed, butted heads and stuff. But after I got out of prison, he saw my mindset was different, and I was like, "Hey, Dad, let's start a business." You know? And he's like, "You're an idiot. Like, I was gonna give you my business." And I said, "Yeah, but I didn't want it at the time. I wanted to do what I wanted to do." So he said, "Oh, I'll come out of retirement. I'll help you for 3 years, but I'm not gonna put anything in my name, and it's all on you." And I was like, "Hey, whatever. I'm confident." So, you know, going back to my younger years, I started out with a credit score of 510 when I got out of prison. So I couldn't find a credit card. I couldn't buy anything. You know, I had minimum overhead, but I had no capital to really run a business.
Yeah.
You know, so for the first like year and a half, you know, I was living in an apartment. I was up and down steps every night carrying wheelbarrows, buckets, all my tools, because I didn't have a truck yet. Everything was going in a car. And you know, me and my dad slowly started doing, you know, small residential work by hand, and you know, we just worked our way up the pole, and eventually I got a truck, and then I advertised, and you know, having his last name was huge for me. It helped me get back into the industry. That was a huge help. But I think just the structure of how I wanted to run a business after sitting in a jail cell and analyzing advertising the best way to run a business. I used what he taught me and what I've concocted in my brain to what I believe to be a successful way to run a business. And I put it together. Now we're 10 years in business. We're still starting.
What were some of those like takeaways or structures that you were thinking about? Like, I want to run a business like this.
Yeah, so like things that I thought, like advertising, be personable, always answer your phone, always give a customer time, never try to rush an estimate if you're out there. I know it's a free estimate, and typical people want to do, a half an hour, no more. I've sat on estimates for 2 hours sometimes, talking to people, building a friendship. Like the biggest thing I've learned with sales is the more personable and more friendly you are with that individual, the more they're trusting you and willing to accept you as a contractor and give you an opportunity. And also sometimes they let you do it your way instead of their way, because you're a professional at what you do, and you see art, that people can't envision what you envision.
For sure. And
you document everything that you do. Of course, you need before and after photos. That's huge for your portfolio. And honestly, I look at longevity for business. I'm not just trying to get rich off of one job. So like honest days pay for an honest day's work. Really analyze your infrastructure within your business and how much it costs for you to run that business a year, and then take that number and divide that by 365 and come up with a calculation of how much money you need to make a day to stay in business, to pay your bills, and then add 25% on top of that. And and that's fair. Everybody gets paid. You're making your profit, and such is life.
It's awesome, man. Yeah. I think sales is a super amazing skill set to have.
For sure.
Because I feel like if someone's coming off overly salesy, they're not good at sales.
Exactly.
Like,
they're trying too hard.
The best salespeople I know, and I've had the chance to shadow and be mentored by some, is they're an expert and super knowledgeable at what they're selling and doing, and they mostly just spend the time educating the person that's looking to purchase the product on the benefits of it.
For sure.
And how they can help them.
Yep.
And also their experience.
Yep.
So it's like, if you have a good product, you're a good person, and you're like, we'll just say like heart-centered.
Yeah.
People can pick up on that. They can pick up on that you're a genuine person.
100%.
Like think about it, like how often are you buying something from someone that feels super salesy?
Exactly.
Just like,
I can't tell you how many times I've gotten phone calls, because like the way I market my business is no job's too small for Sal Duty and Son. But with that being said, I do have a minimum charge, like, because I need to make X amount of money in order to keep my business operating. But I've been out to homeowners' houses, and they've wanted like the smallest little jobs, and I'm like, I'm not here to take your money. Like, I can do this for you, but this is what you're gonna pay. But it's as easy as this, and I can literally, I'll send you all the materials. I'll tell you where to get it. I'll even show you videos of how to install it, and you can do it yourself for a fraction of the cost. And I think that just goes so long with people, because then that puts such an impression in their head on, wow, his character. He could have been like, oh, give me $500 and it only cost me $30. But like, I'm not hungry like that. I'm more about helping. You know what I mean?
Definitely, man.
And if you're gonna hire, Sal Duty and Son, I have to come out for X amount of money. But me as a good person and try to put a good impression on somebody, I'm willing to help you just out of the kindness of my heart, because that's just my character.
Yeah, for sure.
So
I'd love to talk a little bit about your journey over the past however many months it's been. So recently you made some kind of big life shifts and changes.
My whole life being in the entertainment business, and I started getting into competitive bodybuilding. I did some figure stuff. I've done a lot of modeling. I was abusing steroids. I struggled with steroids for a better portion of 20 years of my life. From 16 was the first time I did steroids to this past year at 36, and it just took such a toll on my body. At age 36, December 23rd, I had a heart attack, and it scared the crap out of me.
What was that like?
It was insane. I was wrapping presents with my mother-in-law, and I had like real bad heartburn. Chest was burning. My head was pounding. I actually got a bloody nose.
Really?
Yeah, it was crazy. And my mother-in-law's like, Kev, you don't look too hot. And I was like, yeah, I don't feel good. She's like, why don't you go to urgent care? And I said, okay. So I drove myself to urgent care, walked in there, told them all my symptoms, and they said, yeah, you need to go to the hospital. You're having heart problems. So I was
they knew.
Yeah, they knew. So I went. They wouldn't even see me. So I went right to St. Luke's, and did I miss my turn? Oh, let me see. Sorry guys, we're driving right now. Anyway, they brought me in immediately. My platelet levels were at like 43, and they're supposed to be at like 0.08, which means it's an enzyme that your heart releases when it's under an immense amount of stress. So, anyway, long story short, I was in the hospital. I almost missed Christmas, but I was discharged Christmas Eve. I got to celebrate Christmas with my little man and my family and my wife and stuff, and it was amazing. And at that point forward, I said, you know what, I'm gonna quit steroids cold turkey. That's what the doctors told me. You need to quit steroids cold turkey. You need to start dieting, and you need to start doing cardio.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right. Well, me being, an addict and an extremist in anything that I do, I took cardio to like the whole next level. Like I instantly went into like competition mode for training for a marathon. And like 0 to 1,000, but whatever, it was fun. My first mile started out at like I think it was like 19 minutes and 22 seconds it took me, and I was like breathing heavy. I was having a hard time breathing, and every day I tried to beat that record, and I just worked my way up to a point where I was doing like 10-minute miles or 10-minute mile, and then I would stop. Then it was like, all right, can I do 2 miles? Can I do 3 miles? And it's cold out, so I was doing a lot of treadmill running, so I wasn't looking for longevity in my run, like doing multiple miles. I was looking at how fast can I run a mile on consecutive. So the past 6 months that I've been training, next week will be 26 weeks. No alcohol, no steroids for me.
What made you decide to stop the alcohol too?
It was the heart attack for me. The doctor said no more drinking, no more you can't have alcohol. They said I could drink with moderation, but my personality, like I don't have moderation.
Yeah. Same.
If I'm drinking, I'm drinking. If I'm not, I'm not. So I chose not to drink. I want to be.
What was that process like, stopping drinking? Like for people out there that are curious, like going from a lifestyle of just drinking being such a big part of your life, like what did you have to do mentally, physically, lifestyle-wise to make that shift?
That's a great question. I really, for the influence from my in-laws, very Christian family, I really, sat down and started praying and trying to talk to God. I mean, I claimed I was a Christian and I had a relationship with God, but, I was in the middle of trying to, put a huge addition on my house, and I had stress, pressure from work, because in the wintertime we're slow, and I'm just asking for God's help, and I just had this like spiritual enlightenment one day. I'm driving down 313 in Percy, and it's cold out, but my windows are tinted, but this glare of sun is just like rang right down directly into my heart. And I just felt like Jesus just came down, sat in my passenger seat, and said, hey Kevin, everything's gonna be okay. I'm here for you. Wow. And I got these I got chills right now. Every time I talk about it, I get chills, and that's when I know God is around me, because when I really have a passionate feeling about God and I express my, emotions towards Him to others, I get these like goosebumps and chills, and that's how I know that that's the Holy Spirit running through me. Yeah. And that it just kept me going and going and going. And I'm like, man, like this is such an awesome feeling. Why wouldn't I want to explore this feeling? So, I started, documenting my journey of recovery online, but always incorporating God to it, because that's what made me feel good. And I want to express to people that, like, if you don't have a relationship with God, you need to get one, because it's amazing, like you wake up in the morning, it's like you always have somebody to ask for advice that has more wisdom than anybody you'll ever meet. You know what I mean? And it's like, you read the Bible and like, what would Jesus do? And then I hear my mother-in-law and my family say, follow the guidelines of joy. And if joy is spelled, J-O-Y, it's joy is for Jesus, J, O is for others, and then Y is for yourself. And if you live that format of life by what would Jesus do first, put others second and yourself last, and don't live a life of selfishness, you know, you're gonna go really far in life.
I never heard that before.
Yeah, I'd never heard it too until my in-laws. Like I said, they've been such a strong influence on me.
That's awesome.
Towards God, you know, that I've just wanted to explore, you know, what God is to me and, you know, what he does for me. And what he does for me is, you know, it makes me wake up in the morning with like a positive mindset of, you know, I'm going to be the best version of me today. I'm going to accomplish the most I can do in one day. I'm going to help the most people in one day. And then I'm going to get home and turn my work off and walk in and hang out with my little man, hang out with my wife, and be there for my family, you know, because it's not all about work. You know, you need to find balance. You need to juggle, you know, family time and business time. So like the weekends, you know, I try to go out and, you know, have fun with my son. We did kayaks. We're going up to the mountains. We took him to Florida, you know, and I'm trying to start documenting all these trips with him, because the older he gets, I want him to look back and remember these memories, you know.
For sure, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Did you do any sort of recovery community, connect with anyone else that was sober?
Not really, besides yourself.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not really. I don't.
That's like in my experience, because just for people that are watching that, you know,
Yeah.
maybe don't know me, you know, I got sober back in February of 2017, so I celebrated
Right on.
7 years earlier this year.
That's incredible.
And like my experience was, denial was a big part of my story. I didn't even think I had an issue after like using every day for so long. Just like was in denial.
Yeah.
So I was the guy that was like in recovery for 3 months, thinking I didn't have a problem still somehow. It's hard to explain, but I just wanted to get some help, because like I was using certain substances in certain ways that were messing up my money. You know, so I wanted to like, all right, after every day of struggling, finally decided, all right, I'm open-minded to get some help just so I can get my money back on track. I'm going to do this for like a couple months.
Yeah.
And so I can go back to using like normal substances the way that normal people do.
For sure.
Right? Which was like a lie that I was telling myself. But, so getting into recovery, I started to do an outpatient program where I was doing that a few days a week after work. But then I started going to 12-step meetings. So it's pretty rare in my experience to meet someone that was able to just stop using, find their faith without any sort of, you know, really recovery-based community support. You know, because it sounds like you have the community of your family and support system and your faith, and that's so powerful in and of itself.
But I definitely, you know, find my in-laws to be a huge influence on me with my recovery, and my wife, because the way she was raised from her family.
Yeah.
So they're like huge influences. But also, my business really sidetracks me, you know, because I'm like, you know, so busy working all the time and, you know, trying to help others and, you know, focusing on my exercise and getting healthy, that I don't actually have time to go do the other steps. So I'm too preoccupied. And I'm too determined, and I've already had a spiritual enlightenment. Like, you know, I almost died, you know. I had a heart attack, you know. So it's like, do I want to be there for my family? What would Jesus do? I got to put others first. I can't be selfish. So if I go back to that, I'm being selfish. I'm not putting others first. You know what I mean? So it was just like a whole very easy transaction for me or transition, should I say, for me to want to, you know, do better and just stay sober.
So right before we started filming, you started to talk about some of the other stuff that you're working on right now. I don't know how much of that you can kind of publicly share, but you know, your concrete business, it sounds like, has been going well. And you were also looking to expand maybe into some other partnerships, maybe some art stuff, some social media, digital marketing stuff.
Yeah, so like, you know, my son has the biggest passion for YouTube, so I thought, how cool would it be to start like documenting all this stuff and see if I can get a fan base. And my Instagram like exploded. I went from like 1,200 friends to I think I'm at almost like 50,000 in like less than 6 months.
Oh really? You just started 6 months ago.
Yeah.
What's your son's name again?
Logan.
What's up, Logan?
Logan, we miss you, dude. We'll see you at the car show. He'll be riding with me for the show. We're doing a cruise. It'll be pretty cool.
Logan, if you're watching this right now, your dad is awesome. You're super lucky to have such a heart-led, awesome father.
My guy, I appreciate that. So anyway, you know, meeting clientele through my construction company, I've had built relationships with people because the passions that I've encountered through my life with art, you know. So, you know, I'm dealing with a lady right now that, you know, has tons of beautiful art that I don't think people realize the value of it. And she doesn't know how to get it to those right people. So I was
Is she
like,
the artist or is she a collector?
she's a collector and an artist herself. She was,
cool.
she was a professor at Rutgers. I'm not going to say any names right now.
Yeah. It's probably a good move.
Yeah, but anyway, she's an awesome lady, and and I feel like just a lot of people were trying to take advantage of her and what she has, and I wanted to make sure that people didn't take advantage of her. So I asked her if she would accept my help to help her make sure this art gets to the right hands.
Nice.
To museums and stuff like that. So I've reached out to other customers that are art dealers that know these people, and it's like my network. It's like it's all about who you know.
Say what, your network's your network.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So then I met another guy through the art that wants to getting into like huge industrial floor coating systems, and he likes me as a person and how I market. So he's thinking about buying into my company and creating another division. So now in the past 10 years, I've had one person approach me to buy into my business and create a separate entity for concrete pumping using Saldudi & Son as the brand. Now we're gonna get into like maybe Saldudi & Son art selling, or selling high-end art, or Saldudi & Son floor coating systems. And these are all like opportunities have opened up to me through my recovery. So it dawned on me, why not share with people what comes after recovery, what comes with recovery?
Yeah.
What are the accomplishments? And that's what I think people are going to be interested in. If I can stop this for 6 months and change my mindset and not get rid of that fog in your brain, can you direct your energy towards what you were addicted to in a negative way and drive it towards positivity, to be a better person, to excel in life, to prosper?
Yeah,
And
yes,
and that's I'm a living testimony of it, and that's why I want to share my story with people and share my success, not in like a boasting way or a cocky way, but in a very proud way, because I feel like I'm doing it the right way now.
Dude,
and
that's so powerful, and that's something that I've been working on as well, being more open with sharing my story.
Yeah.
Because I think early on in my recovery journey, I think it took me to a very deep place of humility.
Yeah.
So humility, and there's different dictionaries and stuff out there, but
Yeah.
the actual definition of humility is lack of one's self-worth.
Yep.
So in the beginning, I had to be more humble in the sense of the way that I was living before wasn't fulfilling me, and it wasn't leading me to a path of where I was helping people. In fact, it led me to the opposite, where I felt very soulless, lost in life, wasn't sure what my purpose was, didn't care if the next day even came at one point. It's just like, I can't believe that I had that type of perspective, with where I'm at now.
100%.
But then, doing some work for some years, I didn't really find until recently that, my story actually matters. And a lot of the meetings in the recovery space that I was going to was, sort of like inner circle, kind of behind closed doors. Like the other people that I was surrounding myself with weren't like on social media or like sharing their stories. Like I was going through the steps, I was sponsoring other guys, I was speaking a lot at other meetings, but when it came to speaking about it publicly, it was sort of like a little bit behind closed doors. In fact, it even took me a few years until I started to become open socially talking about my recovery.
For
right?
sure.
I had some, judgment around it, how people would perceive me.
Yep.
But then, reconnecting with Abel Hart, who's a good friend of mine, and
That's
him and I
awesome.
have done like a ton of work over the past few years.
He's that music artist, right?
Yeah, singer, songwriter, musician.
Yeah. I've heard some of his stuff.
So when him and I reconnected, he had a desire to grow his project, which was more public facing, right?
Yep. Yep.
So we started filming actually with this camera.
That's
started
crazy.
filming in the car, filming
That's
GoPros,
insane.
filming us going snowboarding,
That's
because he used to
crazy.
be on the Junior Olympic snowboarding team.
That's so cool.
So we would go snowboard, we would film lifestyle stuff like this.
Yep.
And then eventually it grew into us getting a camera, shooting stuff for his music. And then over the past 2 years, we've generated over 700 million views organically across all social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram.
That's awesome.
YouTube. And it's created for both of us a freedom lifestyle, location freedom, time freedom, financial freedom, and creating and doing So I think it was really towards the end of last year when we achieved like a certain level of freedom where the money was good. You know, I got a car of my dreams, you know,
Yeah.
married, my wife and I are traveling, you know, all over.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yep.
And then I was like, well, what's next? You know, and where my head, I was meditating actually for 3 days down at his house in Miami.
Okay.
And I would just sit there in the morning for like 2 or 3 hours and just like praying, you know, with like my higher power, and just
Yeah.
like being on a good vibration, listening to positive music, listening to positive affirmations, and just having my positive vibration be strong in those mornings. Like what's meant to come through for me,
Yeah.
and energetically opening myself up to what's to come next. Because I'm a firm believer, like the past few years, it's been like really my experience where if my energy is taken up each and every day, new stuff won't come through for me. Like if I'm fully maxed out every day, spent on like, all right, I'm just like grinding this particular job, or I'm working on just this particular project, new opportunities that, you know, my higher power wants to put into my life might
Yep.
not become available to me unless I leave myself a little bit energetically open. So I
That
just
makes sense.
I just started realizing that. So leaving myself energetically open, what started to come through for me is how can I help as many people as possible?
Yeah.
So then we started doing a weekly podcast, then we built an online community.
Cool.
So it's called the Full of Heart Podcast, and then we grew this online community to 5,000 people over the course of a few months. So him and I doing these weekly podcasts was the first time that I really started to see myself the way that people are seeing us right now on camera.
Exactly.
Because all before that, I just wanted to be behind the scenes. Like, I meet you, how can I help you
Yeah.
accomplish your goals and dreams? That's like where my mind goes even still.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, all right, let's get the camera on you. I got the plan. I got the social media plan. This is the equipment. These are the things that you can talk about. Like,
Yep.
all my brain's already going in that direction with so many things. And I'm excited to see what we'll co-create together.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so kind of having that approach and working with Abel, it wasn't until we started to do the podcast where I started to share my story more open, more vulnerably. And I had been sharing about my story and who I am, like I said, behind closed doors and in meetings and stuff for years.
But not publicly.
Right. So it's and Abel and I have conversations like this for
Yeah.
hours, like all the time about
Yeah.
life and you know, how can we affect
Yeah, but
as
why
many
not just do
people
it
as
on
possible?
camera so then the world can see it? You know, because you never know. Like what I was all like, even like if you could just touch one person a
Yeah.
day, you know, with the Holy Spirit, with God, then you're doing the right thing.
Yeah,
and
man.
like, you know, every day I touch at least one person. You know, I have people, multiple people reaching out to me online like, hey Kev, you're such an inspiration. Keep going. I respect you. I got people pulling me over. I'm driving down the street in my truck, honking the horn, waving at me. And it's like, it's so cool because I know that I'm influencing a lot of people. And, you know, one of them is my nephew, you know, Joey. He's doing awesome.
Shout out to Joey.
Yeah, Joey. Thinking of you, bud. Multiple people, you know, I'm not going to mention too many names right now, but it's a good feeling.
It
you
is,
know?
man. It is for sure. And I've really been stepping more into that process myself over the past like 6 months, I'll say. So we originally did the podcast behind a paywall style community, and that was comfortable for me to do it because honestly, I was fearful of how others would judge me and
Yeah.
judge my story, because there's a lot of haters out there, and there's just a lot of people that just don't understand.
Yeah,
You know,
but-
and then I think more recently I was connecting with the fact that it wasn't necessarily 34-year-old Chaz that was fearful of that. It was like the younger version of me that was inside that maybe
The
had
less
some
mature.
trauma, you know,
Yeah.
like, you know, maybe gotten made fun of. And, you know, a lot of people experience being bullied and getting made fun of when we're young. And what I realized in doing some work in therapy is that those younger wounded parts of me are actually still inside me.
Yeah.
So actually going back to those younger versions of myself and then letting the younger version of myself know just the way that you would your son, like, hey man, I got you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
You're a good dude, you're loved.
Well,
You're-
before we wrap this up, there was something that my dad always told me, and it clicked. And it's like, who are we? Who is anybody to judge? It's like, if you're gonna sit there and judge somebody else, look in the mirror and judge yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's so powerful to me because it's like, we're all human. We all make mistakes. You know what I mean? Like, God forgave us for all of our mistakes.
For
You know, He forgives us for our sins. Who are we to judge other people? You know, to be out there and be the best version of you. If you have an insecurity within yourself, don't push that out on other people. You know, focus on yourself and fix that insecurity. 'Cause that's the only reason you're judging is because you find that insecurity within yourself.
Dude, it's so true, man. And a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people that are
It's
sitting
haters.
there. And also a lot of people are really struggling. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people are really struggling in life. They don't have community. They don't have support. They're not living a life of purpose. So they're operating on a negative
Different,
vibration
yeah.
and struggling. They don't know any better, you know. And everybody has different life experience, different levels of trauma or whatever that puts them in those
100%.
spaces.
Yep.
So knowing that and operating on your own, you know, higher frequency, operating, you know, with your connection to your higher power, I think in my experience has been really inspiring seeing other people do that.
For sure.
And then connecting with so many people that are entrepreneurs and are living life of purpose and that are out here helping people like yourself, you know, like
Absolutely.
me. And I think my mission here right now is to help as many people as I can and connect with other people that are doing that, and then empower them
Yep.
to have a bigger impact and do more of what they love.
I love it, dude. I love
So
it.
if people want to connect with you, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
I mean, honestly, right now my Instagram is really, you know, popping. I don't know what you want to say. But I'm trying to direct some energy towards YouTube.
What's
you
the
can
Instagram?
find me on, it's Jewopi, Jewopi. That's pretty much my nickname through all my social media platforms.
Jewopi?
Or just Kevin. Yeah, I'm Jewish and Italian. So
Oh, nice.
I'm like a pizza bagel, you know. I know how to make money and save money. It's a Jewop, you know. That's my nickname.
Dude, that's
But
hilarious.
yeah, dude. So we're about to be at this car show soon, so I think we should probably wrap this up for
Ah,
sure.
man. Yeah, sounds good. I'm excited, man.
Let's
This
do
is
it,
an awesome
brother.
conversation. It feels like the start of something really powerful.
I think so. New beginnings.
Let's go, man.
Peace out, y'all.
Peace.